Let's see how many people we got coming up in here. It looks like we got about 9 people on Facebook, 3 YouTubers. Thanks for joining me, guys. Welcome to the weekend. It's Friday night. Yeah. Happy birthday, Mike. Like you said. Alrighty, guys. Well, hey, thanks for coming in here and joining me for tonight. It's Friday night. It's cold up here in the East Coast. It's cold everywhere, I believe. So let's take a look at this unit. So this is a 2x8 with two 2290s, and yeah, I've been building quite a few of these things, guys, and they're looking more and more equally the same, every one. I finally found the pattern, the way I wanted to take and do things, and it's going to be really consistent from this point out on these units right here. So with that said, in the future I'm going to make some changes on the decal. It's still going to be 123 South Jersey, but I'm going to change a few things as I use materials up that I already have. But on the back end of this thing, we have a slew cord keeper with 3 6-gauge power wires in here. So it's quite large. It's equivalent to way overkill, at least a 1/0 cable. 1/0A, 1/0, and then there's a ground bolt on here. So the good rule of thumb is, guys, to take and get a cable that is bigger than that bolt size right there. And this is a 5/16 bolt. So a 1/0 cable would suffice for this thing, and it would pretty much match what you have here on the positive side. So whatever you have on the positive side, you should have the equivalent or more for the ground side. Why is that? Because everything works off of ground with these amplifiers. If you lose ground, you lose your amplifier, true enough. And as well, if your antenna loses ground, you lose standard wave, you lose your amplifier. So at the end, ground is so important, I can't even express it enough. So taking a hammer to a soldered lug and beating them flat, I don't have one, but I have one that's installed properly with solder with 6-gauge power wire in here. And this is what's inside this amplifier. This is 6-gauge, 100% copper. So it's very important that you guys get good, solid connections. I'm talking about connection points because I'm not a big fan of the Andersons. I had this conversation with a gentleman today about the Andersons, and the easiest way I can describe Andersons, I'm not going to use my fingers, I'm actually going to use these 2 parts here. So picture this is the inside of an Anderson connector, all right? So they have a little bump and a little clip. So we're going to just kind of simulate this right here. So as they slide in, they kind of interlock and they kind of shelf. And then what it is there's a push pin that pushes them down. So once it gets locked, they lock in pretty good. And you have to tug them pretty hard to get them to push that push spring to give it to go up before they can come out. But that's all fine and dandy if you read, and I wish I would have had grabbed one, but if you read the jackets on the Anderson connectors, guys, it'll have an amperage reading on it. And from my understanding on the amperage reading, let's say for example it was a 100, let's say the medium one, all right, the medium size Anderson connector, let's say they're 175 amps. Now that is in a whole, as a whole connector, has both sides. So realistically you would take that number and you divide it by 2. So you have about 87 amps where that thing's going to be maxed out at on one leg. So if you're using an Anderson connector, as long as truly you're not upwards of 87 amps, I think I would use a 175 on, let's say, damn, a 5-pill draws more than that. But I would, if I had to use one, I would use it on a 5-pill and below. I wouldn't put them on an 8, etc. Because you're going to see an 8 or even a two driving 8. It's going to draw a certain amount of amperage, and the only way the amperage is going to go down unless you back off the total output power here. So we'll get into the highs and the lows on this unit here, but in the meantime, kind of standard business what I have going on in today's world. HG-2290s right here in the 2290 stage, 2 of those, and and standard 2879s. Nice circuit, beautiful paint job on the board. They come out, I don't have to work too hard on these boards, guys. It's really, I've got it down to an art fashion, and I know what to do. I walk into my booth and bing, bang, boom, I'm out of there in no time. So, with that said, 160 CFM times 2, because there's 2 of those fans in here, and they really produce a lot of air. So, with that said, it has filter for the voltage coming in, and ground, etc. And then it has filters on top, meaning the air grade filters. Now, this is not a self-cleaning unit, guys, so do some maintenance. You should check this stuff about once a month, especially if you're in a highly dusty area. And so these little squares come out of here, and you can wash them and reuse them a few times, but a lot of times when you let them dry, you push on them a little bit, blot them down, they'll stretch out. So you'll have to trim them with scissors a little bit. And then if it comes down to you need to replace them, don't worry about it. Just hit Amazon and just look at air conditioner filters. So like the little window unit ones, they'll come in a roll, but pay attention of the thickness. You want the thinnest one they offer, and I think it's like 1/8 of an inch or 3/16, somewhere in there, 1/4 inch. Either way, I had bought some replacement filters for my ugly truck, and it ain't having any problems. So all in all, you have to do maintenance. So no sense of having filter grills. If you let them get clogged up, then you're just making an amplifier breathe heavy and can't get enough air. So a lot of guys are like, oh man, these are restricted, take it off, kind of defeats the purpose. I guarantee your amplifier is going to look terrible in no time, especially if you're in a dusty area. In fact, I put up a post on Facebook yesterday or today about doing some maintenance. I think it was last night. Do maintenance. A good time to do maintenance is now. It's winter time. You're not out there messing with your mobile. You guys should probably drag your units in the house, get them out of your vehicle, get them up in the house, get them in some lighted area, get them up to temperature, and give them a good cleaning. A little WD-40, a little soapy water, and a paintbrush. Man, it does wonders to this stuff. You just take your time, and then that way you can inspect the unit, make sure there's no broken wires or parts are burnt up, and just do a quick inspection. You don't have to be a technician to understand that something's burnt. You can see it visually with your eyes, no problem. So with that said, let's light this thing up. Let's look at the slugs real quick. We're going to look at a 5-watt input reflection slug. This is going back to my radio. And then 25 watts going to show my radio input drive. Now I'm going to show you, I put low drive on this heading on this one because it truly is. You have two 2290s and they really don't take them much to get excited. So I'm going to run the radio down low, but obviously I'm going to bring it up to the full tune potential, so where it was fully tuned and then a little bit past, and show you how it really not helping the circuit. So if you're looking for a lower drive unit, meaning you're in this range of peak of anywhere from 7 RMS to 27, maybe 30, 32 on a peak or so, it's going to drive this unit to pretty much its fullest potential. So we'll go over all that real quick, and then we'll take a look at the slugs here. We're going to look at a 1,000-watt slug up in the analog and a 2,500-watt analog and peak. And then we'll look at the digital Dave made, and we'll be looking at the 2,500-watt slug on that one. So here we go, guys. We're going to light this thing up. I center band tuned this one at channel 20. So we're going to test on channel 20. That's where I center band this one. And a lot of guys, sometimes they don't always tell me what channel they're talking on. So while I'm sitting here, just kind of no fans are on, we'll just take a look at the radio. All right, we'll see what the radio is doing here in RMS. All right, so audio, radio, audio, radio, audio, radio. So I'm showing about 7.5 watts, audio. That's a 5-watt slug. I'm showing about 7.5 watts RMS out of this radio. So with that said, if I had 7.5 watts and I had this unit back all the way down, I'm going to have to bring my carrier up quite a bit just to get a carrier here. So let's see what's going on. Take off my glasses. Alright, see, it's not even keying up. You can't hear it. Can't do a thing. No movement. There we go. We got movement now. So that's a 1,000-watt slug. Each line is 20 watts. And we're just going to give a little audio talk. Audio. So we're hitting about 480 watts RMS. And then our peaker tweaker over here, let's look at it, RMS over here, 2,500, 50 a line. Audio. So 450, 500 there. Let's see what the peaker tweaker. So 1,475 watts on peak. with a low drive radio and the amplifier is back all the way down to minimum output power due to the attenuation on the potentiometer. All right, here we go. Here's the RMS peak, 2,500 watts peak, audio. We're hanging out again back at that 1,400 mark or so. So let's take a look at what our inputs are. And each line is 1/10 of a watt, audio. And as you can see, I have very good modulation. I'm right about 11 o'clock. This is a Dustin R&R radio, flat out of the box. Just call it $300 to your door. Hey Albert, good evening to you. Snake in the bayou. Alright, here you drive radio again, working audio, working drive, audio. So we're still holding right around our 7.5 watts. But the RMS, man, she's a little sluggish, audio. And that's all because I'm taking some of that power from the radio and it's getting thrown away because I'm using this potentiometer. Now if I turn that up and I forget to take and turn my dead key down, real quick, let's just see what dead key was. Oh yeah, we're at 3 watts right there. So you know this thing's gonna take and slam dunk this thing, right? You think it's gonna slam dunk it, guys? Here you go. What's up, Benny? Bingo! So, if you're a guy that don't run a watt meter and you're playing with this knob here, and you're not playing with that knob, and you're either fixed on your radio and you're stuck at 3 watts dead key, that's a bad thing. You need a variable potentiometer in your radio so you can adjust your dead key so it won't overdrive the amp. Now again, I'll show you. This is a 3 watt carrier, guys. Touch over 3 watts. What's gonna happen to this thing? All right, watch. Bingo in the corner. What happens to the 2,500 watt slug? This is a little over 3.5 watts. Whoa, 1,500 watt carrier. Wow, don't want to modulate into that. Okay, so let's bring this down to perspective. Get a carrier. Oh man, got a squeak. All right, there we go. RF tonight. All right, so now let's see where we're hanging out at. Not quite a watt. Each line half a watt. So what about about 3/4 of a watt? Audio. So about 4/10 of input reflection. Let's say the 1,000 watt. Audio. Now that is absolutely getting it. All right, here's my radio again. Audio. 7 to 7.5 RMS coming out of my radio, and this is a 1,000 watt slug. Each line's 20. Audio. So I really think that's kind of getting it pretty good. Let's look at the 2,500 watt slug. Each line's 50. Now this is a low drive radio, 7 and 7.5 watts. And here's your RMS. Audio. So 950. Let's see what it is on the digital. Audio. 9.25. All right, we're in an area where we can kind of just look at different things now because we know where we're at. Audio. Wow, flash to 1800. Let's see what it does on the peak up here. Peaker tweaker analog. Audio. So again, that's 17 right there. The 1750 was in the big middle there. So it's really peaking out good. This amp is running great. Now, if I take and just increase the voltage on my radio is automatically going to pick up power. With what? The dead key, the carrier level where it's set, and the overall output power. So let's just take a look at what's going to happen. So we'll get a baseline real quick. See, my radio's at 12.4, and then we're going to bring it right up to where it was tuned up at 14.2. So we're going to pick up quite a bit of voltage, but let's say what happened with our carrier. Let's see what happens to our carrier here. All right, so this is where we just ran. All right, so we're just a smidge under 1 watt. All right, so now we're going to take and bring the voltage up on my radio now to 14.2. Try to get it there. There we go. All right, now, didn't change anything but the voltage. Let's see what happened to my carrier. Oh, it went up. It went up another 0.5 watt. So what happened when I audio now? Audio, 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 audio. Wow, man, we went from 7 to 10. That quick. You see that? It's not magical. It's nothing unicorn. There's no tricks. There's no smoke and mirrors. This is how the radio's working, and it's supposed to work this way, work properly. So, it's in proportion of where you set your carrier is how much more or less this radio will do. And all of Dustin's radios are set up that way, consistent set up that way. All right, so let's take a look now with, I just raised the carrier up because I raised the voltage up on the radio. Let's take a peek at what my carrier here. It went up a half a watt, a little over a half a watt. Yeah, I'm over there now. So I gotta back her back down again. Back it down, and then we'll get into where I should set my carrier. Alright, so I got a little too low. Alright, we're gonna leave it about right there. I'll explain that in a moment. Alright, so potentiometer is wide open, my radio's picked up, and we did whatever, 1750, 1800 peak. Let's see our working wattage. Audio, 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 audio. So we're at 10 watts bird now, input reflection. Each line is a tenth of a watt. Audio, 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 audio. So we're right about 2. And then let's look at, let's go right to the peak. Audio, peaker, tweaker, audio, 1, 2, 1, 2. It seemed like it took some away, didn't it? Audio, 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 audio. Well, it's about the same. All right, so we're 1750 on that one. Let's see what happens to RMS. Audio, 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 audio. So yeah, happily it's towards the corner, and it should be, because I filled in quite a bit of RMS, but I couldn't fill in any more peak. Okay, because we all know peak, man, it's like a raging river. It just flows, and you can't stop it until it decides to run out of fuel to go, and that's your voltage. Audio, 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 RMS, audio. So there's your RMS on a 2500 watt scale. That one, each line was 50. Audio, peaker, tweaker, audio, 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 audio. So 220-290s really is a nice driver for this box, because you're not like totally killing the 8 transistors that are in there. You're probably somewhere right in the neighborhood of 16 watts per transistor, somewhere in there with the 220-290 going into it. But when you take and look at, let's see our amps. We didn't even look at that. Here's our amps and our voltage, where we're at right now. Audio, 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 audio. So it's 114 or so, 120. Now, is that going to help me at all? Is it going to change much if I back this down? I had this thing all the way down, didn't I? 12.4. I ain't going to have a carrier, but let's see my amperage. Audio, 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 audio. So the amperage really, you only lost a little bit. The radio's backed all the way down. I'm not worried about a carrier right now. I'm just showing you guys a quickie here. So here's your RMS again, and this is the radio back down. Audio, 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 audio. So we're hanging out a little over 9 right there. Now, just real quick, I'm gonna bring this up again to 14.2 or so. Try it. Close, close, close. All right, close. Audio, 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 audio. So yeah, you picked up. It does pick up a few watts, but is it worth it? If you got the radio, you don't have to detune it. That's the truth story. Molly, Molly, hi, sit. Hi. They don't have to detune their stuff, do they, Molly? No, they can if they choose to, but it'll take the drive of those big bad boy radios. They get all tuned up, right? Huh? Say hi. Yeah. You agree to that? Do you? Okay. So what don't you like about it? What? Which part? You gonna show me? Uh-huh. Which one? I know I put just a regular black knob on the front of that one. Yeah, I know. Sometimes I put the fancy silver ones on it. Mostly it's the first ones. Yeah? Okay. You gonna wait, everybody? Say happy birthday. You gonna say happy birthday? You gonna sing? Happy birthday. Very good. Happy birthday. Your turn. To you. Oh, Molly, you're too much. Well, hey guys, I kind of lost my train of thought, but let's try not to forget anything. So, as I was saying, you have a radio they can produce quite a bit of power, RMS and peak. Now, yes, I took away the RMS. Now, this test was fair, but in a way it wasn't, just because my peak, just like I explained sometimes at Texas Star versus a one pill, I have more peak with Texas Star. Why? Because it has bigger envelope. It has more transistors than one pill in there. So you're always going to have more peak when you have multiples of something, and the RMS will suffer until you fill it in. Well, the same kind of thing happens with the radios. So your radio can produce X amount of power at X voltage. The only way you're going to increase the peak and the RMS is simply increase the voltage. But you have to keep your head on straight when you do it, just because if you go too far in voltage, you're going to exhaust the parts, they're going to overheat, and you're going to have a failure. So you have to look at everything in a proportion of where you need to be and what certain things are designed to take. Now, everything in here can take, I can hook this up 20 volts and watch this thing rock all day. I mean, it would hammer. But you going to increase your radio too just because you increase your voltage on your amplifier? No, leave your radio alone. Amplifier is going to do its job because you just put a lot more volts in it. In fact, we can do that. I can pick it up 3/4 of a volt just to show you a difference of how it performs at 14.8 versus 15.6 or 7. Let's take a look. So I'll turn this on, and we'll take a peek at this real quick. Now this is open, the radio's up running, and let's take a gander at this. We'll look at the analogs, okay? So we'll look at the, you know what? I'm going to focus on 1 meter here. All right, we're going to focus on 1 meter. All right, here we go. 1 meter focus on. 50 watts per line, 2500 scale, top scale. Audio, audio, audio. So we hit a good 1000 watts right there. Here's your peak. Audio, 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 audio. So it looked like 1650. Okay. Now I'm just going to change one wire. We're going to hook up a bigger power supply. Take a look at the voltage. Audio, 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 15.7. Okay. Now, as you increase your voltage, I didn't increase my radio none, but you see we're just barely tip-tapping this one. Audio, audio, and now we're just beating the brains out of it. I'm going to turn it away because I like my slugs, I like my equipment. So here's your RMS 2500 with approximately 3/4 of a volt more. Audio, 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 audio. So I'm pulling an easy 1150 out of that RMS, and let's see if the peak had increased. Audio peaker tweaker, audio peaker tweaker, audio. So 1850. Let's see what it says on this one here. Audio, 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 1850 to 1900. So by just 3/4 of a volt, that little tiny bit, man, this thing took off like a jackrabbit. I mean, really took off, and that's a great thing. Now, if I didn't have all this radio, will it still do about the same on the peak? It'll be really, really close. Okay, let's take a look at the peak again right here since we've seen it jumping. Yes, sir. Audio, audio, audio. See, the peak actually increased. Audio, 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 audio. Let's see what we've seen here. Audio, 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 audio. So, the peak actually increased. So, what did everybody learn here, including me? All right, when you pay attention, you've seen something. What did I see? I seen a lesser radio, or a low drive radio. This is a lesser radio. All right, and this is why I say it's a lesser radio. Audio, 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 7.5 to 8 watts, free balling into that amplifier, passing through it. So, if you do have a super duper big hidden radio, 220-290s might not be the answer for that particular radio, but most of the guys don't have these big giant, I got a monster tune radio, and they can't control it. It's okay to have those radios as long as you can control them. Now that we're on the radio thing, the other part of what you do's and don'ts with radios is you absolutely don't want to run a dual final radio into anything with a driver stage. I don't care if it's a 1 pill or a 2 pill driver stage. It's just those radios don't normally match up very well with an internal driver. So that's just kind of my disclaimer. I like to take and share that with people, so when they do come up with their buddy's bad idea and they get talked into it and it goes absolutely nuts, and then you end up with a big puff of smoke at the end, bro, I'm telling you, don't do it. It's not worth it. What's going on, Keith? How are you, sir? So, and keep that in mind about the radios, and then you have to look at your coax too, guys. Keep it easy. Go get some 213. It's affordable still. You don't need a U.S. national debt loan to take in and try to buy some 213, but if you can get it tuned to frequency, and the closer to the frequency that you talk on most of the time is a wise idea. But you're going to require a half a wavelength from whatever choice of coax, good or bad decision you all make, a half a wavelength of whatever desired coax you want, a half a wavelength. Now, don't put a number on it. Don't say it's 12 foot. It don't commonly happen for all the family. So, again, a half a wavelength. Layman's terms, or the 213 family or the .66 family, would be approximately 12 foot, depending on your frequency. So, if you want to stub tune some coax, do it. I highly suggest it. Jump down that rabbit hole. Learn how to use the equipment other than just taking and saying, well, I got a 10050 ohms on my antenna, and X and R and a Z and a W, whatever. That machine will do a lot more than just take and read your standard wave on your antenna. So, stub tune some coax. Go read a little bit about some of that stuff. I have a video on YouTube saying a rabbit hole, let's stub tune some coax, rabbit hole, something like that. Go look that video up and take a peek at it. And I think I described and did the testing properly. So, anyway you cut it, here's a nice little 2-drive 8. It does have a potentiometer. A lot of AC guys like to use these for drivers. So, AC guys, listen, you know, when you're at the point where you have to go, oh, and turn the knob on your amplifier, one knob or two knobs for your input reflect. If you're a first timer at it, put a junkie box in line first and work those inputs down and work your way up to your better equipment. So the older AC guys would appreciate that, because that's how everybody was taught. Go get a Texas Star, get something that's real rugged, and go get your inputs down and then work your way up to the driver that you desire normally. So, and that's just if your pots are way off and way out of tune and you don't know where you're at. And use a junkie amplifier. So, because I've seen guys blow up radios trying to tune inputs down on an AC box. So I've seen guys blow radios up trying to tune up a DC box just because they were falling asleep on the mic and staring at the wrong meter. It happens. But anyway you cut it. Molly, where'd you go? Seal's got your bone, Molly. Seal's over here got your bone. What you got going on? You gonna sit for me? You gonna do a little something? And then we're gonna say goodbye to everybody. Oh! Yeah, you gotta wave? You gonna wave? Yeah, wave. Hey. Yeah, that's a good wave. Here, look what I got for you. Yeah, you want that? A little baby cookie. Yeah, little baby cookies. You like the baby cookies? Huh? You like them? Yeah, okay. How about a roller? You want a roller? You want that one? You want that roller? You want it? Watch it. Go get it. Get it. Hurry, get it, Molly. There you go. Good girl. Oh, no, it got stuck. Let's see if she can get it out. Extension cord's in her way. I'll get it for you. You didn't get it in time, Molly. You didn't get it. Ready? Go get it. Go get it. There you go. Good girl. That's one way to get a little exercise out of her for a cookie. It defeats the purpose, but she has fun. Anyway, guys, it just, again, a lot of stuff fall down the ground, and one of the precautions I take myself is in every amplifier. I've been doing this probably a little over a year now. I've been doing the dielectric grease. You see the SOs, you see the back chassis, how you got the grease on there. It's anti-corrosive grease right there, dielectric grease. It's a conductive grease. So that's on all the parts, so we don't have to worry about the inside of the amplifier having any issues of corrosion. I've seen it happen. I've seen it cause a lot of ghost problems and little gremlins on an amp. So best thing to do is just nip it in the butt from the beginning. So just keep in mind, the dielectric anti-seize grease, you can put it out here if you choose to. I probably would after you get everything installed, you know, put it all in for your final, and then hook the stuff up, because this is just a zinc coated bolt, and over time they will oxidize a little bit and such. So if you put a little bit of that grease on there, it gives a little protection, and you don't have to worry about that. Now also, you should be using that grease all over the place, on your antennas, under your truck, under your hood, every place you need to make ground. It's a good stuff to use. It's really good stuff to use, guys, and I highly suggest you do it. And that will help you, again, with preventive maintenance. So you could have your truck talking really good when it's nice and dry out, but as soon as it rains, it goes ballistic. That means you're making more ground than what your system was actually tuned for. So if you guys pay attention to all the different things that happen to you in the mobile and or your base station, your equipment's literally telling you that I was happy, but now it changed outside. It's snowing out or it's raining out, and now my standing wave's messed up. If it's stable, and both times when it's dry out and when it's wet out, your standing wave's nice and stable in your mobile and your base station, then you don't have no worries. You got ample ground. But as soon as something fails, you're going to see a change, or you'll never be able to get it. Actually, I couldn't get this antenna to tune right, this and that. It's not the antenna's fault. It's just a piece of metal up on your roof on your car, or up above on a tower, or in a tree, or whichever. It's tuning for the surroundings around it. But if it fails to have ground, it won't tune. So again, ground is the most important thing in this hobby, in this communication stuff that we do. So that said, guys, I'm going to slide up out of here. Molly, you going to say goodbye to everybody? You just going to tell them? Molly, tell me. Yeah, you going to tell me? What? Mm-hmm. I know. We're supposed to get a big storm tomorrow. Tomorrow? We're going to make snow angels? Huh? You going to make snow angel with your tail? Yeah? It's too cold out there, ain't it? Yeah? Okay. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out. It's Friday night. Hopefully this, I covered everything, so it answers a lot of questions for people. But, again, you don't always need that super hot dog radio. We just performed better performance out of this unit with a lower drive radio. And so it just kind of tells you that this stage is giving it all it's got. And when you feed it more and more and more, you're going to heat up your potentiometer resistor, your blow off right here, your 100 ohm blow. You start seeing these discolored, that means this is getting ready to leave you. Or this is getting ready to leave you, because you're driving the bejesus out of it. So this is your attenuation. There's not a lot on here. It's a 4.7 ohm resistor. It's standard. So it just kind of is what it is. But listen, the amp is done. It runs great. And I showed you a high powered radio and a lower powered radio. And the lower power kind of did better than the higher powered radio. So low powered to medium, I think you guys will be in good shape. So there you go. You don't need a super hot dog radio to get these things to go. Let me get out of here. Y'all take care. God bless. Rolling to the left. Have a good weekend, y'all.